We have just a few moments before the start of the meeting. As you make your way to your seat, we are going to show a short video that highlights some of our programs and services. If you have attended a movie at the Gem Theater in Harmony, you may have seen a couple of these.
Good evening. I'm Denny Puckett, legal counsel for the cooperative. And before we jump into the presentations, I want to make sure that everybody's had an opportunity to cast a ballot. Now, most people cast their ballots by mail or some have voted electronically. I think there were a few that were cast here tonight, but I just want to make sure, does anybody have a ballot that they've not yet cast? Okay, if not, we will declare the ballot box closed and I'll go count the ballots that were cast here and add them to the ones that were already cast by mail. Thank you.
Thanks, Denny. Good evening. I'm Dean Neerling, Board Chair of MiEnergy Cooperative. Welcome to the annual meeting of MiEnergy Cooperative. I would like to officially call to order the 8th annual meeting of the members of MiEnergy Cooperative. Let me start by welcoming our members, the ones in person and those viewing on live stream. It's good to have you with us this evening. Thank you all very much for attending and participating in the business of your electric cooperative. Tonight, we are following the agenda as approved by the Board of Directors and printed in the annual report. Our business meeting will follow Robert's Rules of Order. We have allocated time for member questions at the end of the President CEO report. Members online can email questions to the annual meeting at mienergy.coop as printed on the screen. We will limit each question to 2 minutes to allow other members to ask questions. I would also ask that cell phones be muted or turned off, please. It's now my pleasure to introduce Director Beth Olson. Beth serves as Director of District 5, and Beth will give tonight's invocation.
I would ask for you to please bow your heads for the invocation. Heavenly Father, we come before you today to give you honor and praise. You are worthy of praise. You are the source of all that is good. We thank you for your many abundant blessings. Thank you for every gift that we have been given, the safety of our employees and to our members. We thank you for the opportunity to come and gather together this evening. We ask for your hand of blessing on this meeting. We ask that you guide and direct our meeting so that it is full of wisdom, productivity, and respect for one another. Fill us with your grace, Lord God. Give us an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work in our communities surrounding MiEnergy. And continue to remind us that all we do here today, all that we accomplish, is for the pursuit of truth for the greater glory of you and for service of humanity. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Beth. I welcome the opportunity to lead the membership in recognizing the great country with which we live in and those serving in the armed forces protecting our freedom. Everyone, please stand and help me exhibit our support by saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, and then I would like to introduce our secretary, Dennis Potashek, to read the meeting notice and proof of mailing.
Good evening, everyone. I, Dennis Potajic, serve as the Secretary of MiEnergy Cooperative and report that the notice of the April 10th, 2024 annual meeting was mailed to each member of the cooperative. This notice was included in our members' March 2024 monthly electric bills and again in the cooperative's annual report delivered to the United States Post Office on March 22nd, 2024. Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis. Based on the number of members in attendance tonight and the number of members voting in our director elections, I declare there is a quorum present and all the requirements as stated in the bylaws have been met. At this time, I would like to introduce our board of directors, our CEO, and our attorney. Please stand and remain standing while I call your name. From District 1, Dennis Potashek, Secretary from Elma, Iowa, and Jeff Radallen from Fountain, Minnesota. District 2, Ron Stevens, Vice Chair from Preston. He also serves as the Minnesota Rural Electric Association board, or on the board, and myself, Dean Neerling from Decorah, Iowa. From District 3, Donald Peterson, Treasurer from Hoka, Minnesota. Skip Weiser from La Crescent, Minnesota, and Dennis Young from Decorah, Iowa. From District 4, Kyle Holthaus from Waukon, Iowa, and Carl Reichs from New Hampton, Iowa. From District 5, Beth Olson from Lewiston, Minnesota, and Jenny Sharmer from Winona, Minnesota. And Jenny is also our Dairyland Power Cooperative Director. And I might add, she's the chairman of their board. So she's a busy gal. Brian Crambier is our cooperative president and CEO. Our legal counsel that you've met already, but I'll introduce him again anyway, is Dennis Puckett from Sullivan and Ward. Let's give all these people a nice round of applause. Director Jenny Sharmer will introduce our guests in attendance with us tonight.
Thank you to those attending from other cooperatives, our statewide associations, and partnering organizations. Please stand for recognition when I read your name. From Mabel Telephone Cooperative, we have Paul Vitzty and Dave Sack, who is also on the My Broadband Board. From the Iowa Association Electric Cooperatives and also Alameda Clayton, we have Jerry Kelleher. Former directors, we have Alan Arsbold, Darla Rands, Roger Hagelin, Chuck Frana, and Dean Fisher. And former employees, we have Susie Magnuson and Ted Chose. We appreciate your time and interest in MiEnergy Cooperative, so thank you for attending our member annual meeting and for being good friends of the cooperative. Let's give them all a round of applause.
Thanks, Jenny. Everyone received a copy of the 7th annual meeting minutes in the annual report. It would be in order if someone would move to dispense with the reading and accept them as presented if there are no questions. Okay, we do have a motion. Is there a second? Okay, yep, okay, thank you, I didn't catch it. And we have a second. All those in favor, say aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carried. Thank you. I would now like to introduce Kenrick Scavell, Nominating Committee Chairman, to provide the report from the Nominating Committee.
Good evening. The nominating committee consisted of myself, Kenrick Scavell, Chairman, Adam Coyle, Ordell Stinson, Beth Strapp, Beth George, and Dennis Oswinkle. The committee met on January 23rd, 2024 at the Rushford MiEnergy office. The nominating committee then reviewed the 3 applications that had been received for consideration for the 2 district seats representing District 2, and the 2 applications that had been received for consideration for the 2 district seats representing District 3. The nominating committee hereby selected the following director candidates for consideration by the membership for election at the MiEnergy Cooperative Annual Meeting, which is being held April 10th, 2024. For a 3-year term for District 2 Director, seat number 1, incumbent Ron Stevens and Vance Haugen. For a 3-year term for District 2 Director, seat number 2, Dean Neerling, who is an incumbent. For a 3-year term for District 3 Director, seat number 1, Don Peterson, incumbent. And for a 3-year term for District 3 Director, seat number 2, Skip Weiser, incumbent. Thank you on behalf of the nominating committee.
Thank you, Kendrick. Director Carl Reichs will introduce the candidates for us tonight.
I would like to introduce your director candidates. I would ask each candidate to stand and remain standing until I've introduced all 5 candidates in the district that have been introduced. The candidates for Director of District 2 are Ron Stevens of Preston, Minnesota. Ron is retired from Quest Communications and works as a part-time bus driver and at F&M Bank. He has been a member of the cooperative for 44 years. Ron has been on MiEnergy's board since 2007. He is also the secretary for the Minnesota Electric Cooperative Association and serves on the My Broadband board. Vance Haugen of Canton, Minnesota. Vance is a retired extension educator from the University of Wisconsin and a semi-retired farmer. He has been a member of the cooperative for 30 years. He serves as the Canton Township Supervisor, as a Grassworks Board Director, and as a coordinator facilitator for Great River Graziers. Dean Neerling of Decorah. Dean is a self-employed farmer. He has been a member of the cooperative for 53 years. Dean has served on MiEnergy's board since 1999 and is currently the board chair. Dean also serves on the My Broadband board and the Mabel Cooperative Telephone Company board. Thank you, Ron, Vance, and Dean. The candidates for director of District 3 are Don Peterson of Hoka, Minnesota. Don works as a self-employed livestock and crop farmer. He has been a member of the cooperative for 39 years. Don has served on the MiEnergy board since 2011 and currently serves as our treasurer. He is also a trustee on the Minnesota Rural Electric Political Action Committee. Don also serves on the Hoka Cooperative Oil Association Board of Directors as its secretary-treasurer. Skip Weiser of La Crescent, Minnesota. Skip is an attorney at Weiser Law Office, PC. He has been a member of the cooperative for 20 years. Skip has served on MiEnergy's board since 2013 and previously served on the La Crescent Community Foundation. Thank you, Don and Skip.
Thank you, Carl. I will now ask our treasurer, Don Peterson, to provide the financial report for this evening's meeting.
Thank you, Dean. I am presenting your cooperative's financial overview for the year of 2023. The financials were also mailed to you in your annual report. Total assets increased $10.4 million to a total of $226 million. Liabilities increased by $6.4 million to $144.7 million. We ended 2023 with equity of $81.3 million, which is 36% of our total assets. Operating revenues were $79.3 million, an increase from 2022 of $700,000. Operating expenses for 2023 were relatively flat, with just an increase of $150,000 from 2022. 2023 margins were $6 million, an increase of just over $1.3 million from 22. The cooperative met all the financial requirements of our lenders. Capital credit payments totaled $1.9 million in 2023. Cumulative capital credit payments for MiEnergy Cooperative, Tri-County Electric, and Hawkeye REC are $69 million. On February 21st, 2024, our auditor, Eide Bailey, issued MiEnergy Cooperative an unqualified opinion in their audit report. This means that the financial statements fairly represent in all material respects the financial position of MiEnergy Cooperative as of the year ending December 31st, 2023. It is not necessary to approve the financial report since the financials were audited by an independent auditing firm and received a favorable report. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. So at this time, we'd like to recognize MiEnergy Director Dennis Young, who did not seek re-election and is retiring from the board. Dennis's early announcement allowed the MiEnergy board to redistrict last year and allow for 2 directors to represent each of our 5 districts. Dennis served on our electric cooperatives board for 20 years. He has served the cooperative members well and consistently provided feedback on cooperatives issues from members. Thank you, Dennis, for your longtime commitment to your member-owned electric cooperative. Yeah, Dennis, you want to say a few words? We do have a little meter socket there for you, a light, I guess, or lamp, so you can have something to remember us by.
All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm not a public speaker, but I sure want to thank everybody that's here, that's kept me on the board. you voted for me different times, brought me back. I want to thank the board for putting up with me, and I want to especially thank Brian. You know, MiEnergy has got a reputation all over the country. There's 800 or 900 co-ops, and MiEnergy is right at the very top of energies. And our CEO is up there, right? Everybody talks to him and asks him questions and likes what he does. So I'm real proud to be a member of this co-op, and I'll say goodbye. Thank you.
Time flies when you're having fun, right, Dennis? Yeah. Did we get the ballots all counted? Okay, then I'll get Dennis Puckett back up here from Sullivan and Ward to discuss our director elections.
Thank you. The nominating committee report has been read and the candidates have been introduced already. So you know that we are electing tonight 4 directors, 2 from district number 2 and 2 from district number 3. The highest number of, the candidate receiving the highest number of votes in each of the seats is to be elected for a term of 3 years. And the ballots have all been counted, the ones that were mailed, and they were or voted electronically. We had an independent third-party survey and ballot systems who counted all of those, and I received the certified results from them. I have added the results, the votes that were cast tonight to those. And I'm pleased to announce that the winners for the seat number 1 in district number 2 is Ron Stevens. For seat number 2 in district number 2, Dean Neerling. And in district number 3, seat number 1, Don Peterson. And seat number 2, Skip Weiser. So congratulations to the winner. And then I would also thank Vance for his willingness to be nominated and run for the board. You'll note that at the director election tonight, there were 3 of the positions that were running essentially unopposed. The board does strive to have contested elections, and the nominating committee is directed to attempt to try to find more than one candidate from each district. But if people don't step forward and aren't willing to run, it's hard to twist people's arms to be on the ballot. So if anybody is interested, there's an election every year. So if your district comes up and you're interested in being on the board, I encourage you to reach out to the nominating committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Denny. So at this time, we'll have our CEO, Brian Cranbeer, present his report to the membership. Brian?
I think this is still pretty high from when Kenrick was up here. Well, good evening, everybody. It's my pleasure to report to the membership on the activities and operation of your electric cooperative. I'd like to thank the MiEnergy Board of Directors for their leadership and direction this year. Special recognition to Dennis for year-long service. I would also like to thank and recognize our employees. I'm blessed to be working with a tremendous group of employees that I consider the absolute best. I would also like to thank the membership. I want to thank you for your support of your electric co-op and for your engagement. Thank you for attending your annual meeting here tonight in person, and for those that are joining us online. It's greatly appreciated. I always like to start with a review of what I call the MiEnergy basics. We have 75 employees. We have 43 substations. We have 5,579 miles of electric distribution line. We have 23,469 meters and 19,223 members. We have offices in Rushford and Cresco. We have outpost facilities in Caledonia and Preston. We serve 11 wholesale cities, and we also serve 2 ethanol plants. We still have less than 4 members per mile of line. Even for an electric co-op, we have very low density. When you look at 5,550 miles, it's equivalent to driving from Rochester, Minnesota to Miami, Florida, 3 times. Of the 900 electric co-ops in the United States, we're ranked number 812 with the number of miles of line. The good thing is we're slightly larger than the average electric co-op of about 15,000 members. Our meeting theme tonight is cooperative, and it leads right into the important mission statement of MiEnergy. Our mission reads, "We take care of our members by safely providing reliable, affordable, and sustainable services." The mission statement reflects our cooperative actions to take care of you, our members. That's what a cooperative is all about. Your electric cooperative has been taking care of members for a very long time. In fact, over 88 years. On May 11th, 1935, Franklin Delano Roosevelt signed Executive Order 7037, establishing the Rural Electrification Administration, the REA. It created a federal agency to electrify the countryside all across the United States. In 1936, residents in Howard, Winneshiek, and Chickasaw counties began forming individual cooperatives. The same sign-up occurred in Houston, Fillmore, and Winona counties, which later created Hawkeye Tri-County and Tri-County Electric. It's interesting that the early REA officials encouraged the Iowa and Minnesota co-op groups to join forces. So one could say that we followed their recommendation just 81 years later in forming MiEnergy Cooperative with the merger of Hawkeye REC and Tri-County Electric in 2017. The REA was formed because investor-owned utilities were unwilling to expand and extend electric service beyond the populated towns. It was not profitable for the investor-owned utilities to serve the low-density rural areas. Across the United States, the average electric cooperative has 8 services per mile of line. Investor-owned utilities like Xcel and Alliant Energy or municipals have more services per mile of line. They average 32 services. The cost to bring power to your home or business is what the basic service charge covers. Those costs gets covered by, in our case, 4 members versus 32. So the current cost to build a mile of 3-phase line is $150,000. We have 4 members to recover that cost over 30 years compared to 32 customers by investor-owned utilities. The 7 core principles as featured in our annual report are the foundation of co-ops like MiEnergy. They are the building blocks that lead us to make decisions based on our membership. One of the principles is education and training. We have a tremendous group of employees at MiEnergy. The combining of our workforces and the creation of MiEnergy has become truly a tremendous asset as we embrace the continued retirements of baby boomers from the workforce. Having employees that continue to improve their skills through proper training and education opportunities ensure MiEnergy is positioned well for the future. Cooperatives in general are known for being involved in their communities, and MiEnergy is no exception. We continue to invest in the next generation of leaders. We do this by sending 2 representatives on the National Youth Tour to Washington, D.C. in June. And over the years, we've given thousands of dollars in scholarships to high school seniors looking to continue their education. This year, 70 graduating seniors will receive a $1,000 scholarship based on their volunteerism. Employees of MiEnergy are also participating in local career exploration days to give youth an idea of the different types of career opportunities that are available at the cooperative. And electric safety demonstrations continue to be popular and a crucial way to educate students and the public on ways to stay safe around electric distribution equipment. Being a co-op, we're also committed to communities and the well-being of our membership. We're a leader in economic development. Over the years, we've provided $12.5 million in loan and grant resources to our service territory members. We'll continue our economic development programs and focus going forward. And for decades, we've administered a program called Operation Roundup. Members sign up to have their electric bill rounded up to the next dollar. 100% of the proceeds are raised are granted to local organizations through an application review process reviewed by MiEnergy members. Over $169,000 in grants have been given since its inception, and I'd encourage all members of MiEnergy to participate in Operation Roundup. These are just a few ways our cooperative takes an active role in our communities. Now, let's take a look back at 2023. Despite our low density and increased miles of line, our outage response numbers are very good. The average MiEnergy member experienced less than 1 hour of outage time. Now, I hope I just didn't jinx us for the next big storm that rolls through. But my point is that we have a very good electric distribution system. And it's because we've reinvested in that system. We also have continued to dedicate over $2 million annually to vegetation management to manage our right-of-ways. We also have incorporated new technology for outage prevention. We now have 6 employees with drone pilot licenses, and we're seeing great benefits in utilizing drones with infrared scanners. Here is a failing hotline clamp identified from drone footage of a distribution line. Investing in technology can help our employees discover issues before an actual outage occurs. We know from conducting member surveys that you want reliable, affordable, and sustainable electric service. Those needs are not without their challenges. Many of the challenges of the pandemic have continued and carried over into 2023 and 2024. Supply chain has created difficulty in attaining equipment, and we're seeing increased cost of materials and supplies. We continue to have bucket trucks and digger derrick trucks that are 3 years out for delivery. We've also seen rising interest rates, which is a direct impact on your electric co-op. We're a pretty capital-intensive business. Insurance and other service fees are also increasing, and nationally we're seeing greater volatility in wholesale power costs. Thankfully, Dairyland Power Cooperative has done an excellent job in navigating this market. Your board of directors supports cost-based rates and no cross-subsidization among rate classes. We have 3 residential member rate classes that are designed by our cost of service study to account for density. As I mentioned before, we have 4 members per mile of line, but we do have some areas that are more dense than others. Our electric rates are very competitive, even when compared to MiEnergy and Xcel Energy, who both serve populated areas, and who, by the way, have also announced pretty significant rate increases. We're very pleased to announce that there will be no rate change in 2024. The services MiEnergy delivers to its members is also a tremendous value in comparison to those other providers. This is an ongoing focus from our great employee group. At the end of 2023, we had 978 members who installed their own distributed generation at their homes, farms, and business, a solar array. MiEnergy is a leader in Iowa and Minnesota with its policies and rate design for members interested in installing solar generation. If you're considering solar, I encourage you to contact our office and speak with Kent or Audra. Last year, we started providing members what we call a solar assessment. It can give you an idea of the size of system you would need, along with details on our policy and the process of connecting your system to our electric grid. You may be wondering what MiEnergy thinks of members installing solar. Our answer is, we support this personal decision our members make when it comes to solar. Our retail rate design separates the delivery of electric service from the energy or the kilowatt hour costs. This is why our basic service charge is higher and the energy costs are lower. This important action was taken by our board of directors several years ago. It provides fairness between members that have installed solar and those that have not. In addition to competitive electric rates, MiEnergy is also a leader in energy efficiency. Over $280,000 was paid out to members in rebates for 2023. most of which were heat pump and water heater rebates. And to keep up with the changing technology, we have 2 electric charging programs for electric vehicles. The programs are designed to incentivize off-peak charging. The off-peak rate is equivalent to 35 cents per gallon gasoline. Again, this is a member decision on whether you purchase an electric vehicle. We just want members to know that MiEnergy has charging programs. Before you make your purchase, give us a call. We can explain some home chargers and how they work, and also look at our electric rates. You know about rebates that are available and purchasing and what it takes to install in your home. Next, we highlight MiEnergy's generation mix. As I mentioned, we're a leader in renewable energy. 47% of the energy MiEnergy members receive is generated with renewable energy. The 978 member-owned solar systems total 16 megawatts. MiEnergy's utility-scale solar projects total 15 megawatts. And with Darrell Power's generation, that gets us to 47%. MiEnergy has been a leader in working with Darrell Power Cooperative to allow us to undertake several local utility-scale solar projects. MiEnergy has 4 solar projects with our partner MiEnergy, and it's called Flanona. 9 megawatts of total generation that provided a savings of $500,000 in 2023. In 2024, we were awarded a PACE, a Powering Affordable Clean Energy Grant, for an additional 5 megawatts of solar. In this generation, we're going to be locating at our Caledonia substation. I've talked a lot tonight about renewable energy. And MiEnergy has done a very good job of integrating utility-scale solar generation to reduce our energy costs. But let me be clear, we need the reliability of baseload or dispatchable generation. Wind and solar are intermittent resources that we cannot depend on if the wind isn't blowing and the sun isn't shining. Reliability is a critical piece of the puzzle. That goes along with sustainability and affordability. Across the United States, electric demand is growing, and supply is not keeping up. Public policy is making the situation worse. Bad public policy is encouraging the premature closure of always available power plants. The EPA is proposing new regulations that will force the shutdown of even more power plants, and the nation's environmental laws make it extremely difficult to obtain permits to really build any kind of electric generation, transmission, or distribution infrastructure. Over the next 5 years, the North American Electric Reliability Council, the nation's grid watchdog, predicts that 19 states from Montana to Louisiana are at high risk of rolling blackouts at normal peak conditions. This is a graph and an example of a winter week this January. The purple represents the daily electric energy usage. Green represents wind energy generation, blue is solar generation, and yellow is storage. Solar and wind can only meet 16% of the current energy needs, and this is not guaranteed to be available. This is a week this summer when we experienced hot temperatures and we experienced a maximum generation event in MISO. The same color codes depict energy use and renewable generation. Baseload generation from natural gas, nuclear, and coal generation made up 92% of the generation. That's what kept the lights on. The long-term trends are not getting any better. This shows the recent and planned coal unit retirements in our 3-state area. Growing uncertainty about the reliability of the electric grid threatens our country's economic growth. Keeping the lights on is vital to America's economy and our national security. Political headwinds are driving the electric industry transformation at both the state and the federal level. MiEnergy is very engaged with our locally elected leaders in both Iowa and Minnesota. We're fortunate to have outstanding representatives that support our co-ops and our legislative issues. Last year, the 100% carbon-free legislation became law in Minnesota. This is a significant challenge for the future. We were optimistic that we received our property tax appropriation this year. That was good news. Thankfully, we also received an exemption for energy management load control receiver fees. This is especially important if we'd started the process of changing out over 11,000 load control receivers in members' homes. This project is anticipated to take over 4 years. Prescriptive easements for Minnesota state-owned property, that hasn't been resolved. MiEnergy has 4 state parks in our service territory and a lot of public land. The DNRs increased their fees and created new fees, whenever it involves us and an electric line on state or public land. It's a little lighter lift in Iowa and a lot of the same issues as last year. We're working to avoid limiting solar siting for utility scale solar. We oppose potential deregulation for large electric users such as Google and large data centers. We're supportive of integrated resource plans for investor-owned utilities, and we've registered neutral on the carbon pipeline legislation. We believe a pipeline should not be treated the same as an electric distribution or transmission line, and it should have separate regulations and requirements. Now I'd like to highlight our partnership with Dairyland Power Cooperative a little bit more. Dairyland Power Cooperative is our wholesale power supply partner for MiEnergy. They provide wholesale power to 24 member distribution co-ops like MiEnergy and 27 municipals in, in the upper Midwest. They generate the power and they transmit it to our substations, and that's where we take it from there, utilizing our distribution lines to deliver it to your homes, your farms, and your businesses. Dairyland is increasing the diversification of their generation portfolio, but also focusing on reliability, affordability, and sustainability. Nearly 70% of MiEnergy's total operating costs are driven by wholesale power costs. And I'd like to recognize Jenny Sharmer, who is also chair of the Dairyland Power Board, for her great work. Thank you, Jenny. So you might be asking, what's next? Where are we going? Well, we're going to focus on our strategic planning initiatives that include continue to enhance our safety culture, broadband expansion across the MiEnergy service territory, strengthen our communities and our engagement. We'll explore electric load growth that includes new services, business expansions, residential developments, and new businesses. We'll look for new partnership opportunities that include even expanding our existing partners. And this ties directly into our ongoing broadband initiative to strengthen our local communities. As I mentioned earlier, we're in an electric industry transformation. As we look to the future, we envision more members will install distributed generation, mainly solar, and a growing number of members will eventually own an electric vehicle. Their home will continue to be connected to the MiEnergy distribution system for system reliability, and our grid will continue to add renewable generation, and it'll serve as a battery for enhanced system reliability. Battery technology will also play an important role in the future, but today, our substation battery evaluations push a payback well beyond 20 years. My Broadband has also been a very special partnership and an initiative. We created this partnership in 2018, and today the focus in Washington, D.C. and Iowa and Minnesota is build out broadband across the countryside. MiEnergy, Spring Grove Communications, and Mabel Cooperative Telephone are leading that initiative. Our broadband initiative has overlapping value to enhance our electric system operation. It provides an important quality of life to our members to receive quality internet service. It provides a future economic growth opportunity for southeastern Minnesota and northeastern Iowa. Broadband is our greatest economic development opportunity for growth that benefits our communities, our schools, our counties, and our businesses. It's interesting to see the similarities of broadband to the early days of rural electrification. Just like 1935, it's again the rural, low-density areas of southeastern Minnesota and northeastern Iowa that really don't have reliable broadband service. To date, we've been awarded just under $72 million in broadband build-out projects, $36 million in grants. Yet, there's a lot more work to do, and we're engaged with the federal and state build-out programs to bring those dollars back to our area. Our next round of applications will have a focus in Winona County. We all have challenges before us, and at MiEnergy, we need to continue to focus on retaining talent and recruiting new employees. We have more employee retirements on the horizon, and we need to continue our success with succession planning. Inflation has increased the cost of our line and equipment of materials. So we must continue our diligent system planning and continue to navigate the political landscape. We continue to work to incorporate more renewable energy with our power supplier and focus on providing affordable, reliable, and sustainable electric service. We'll continue to explore grant opportunities like the PACE and the Inflation Reduction Act program to increase system reliability and our electric industry transformation. In closing, we're not going to forget that MiEnergy is a cooperative, taking care of the people we serve. That's you, the members, and the special people that deliver this critical service, our employees. It's an honor to be part of such a great group of employees that demonstrate outstanding service every day and a membership that supports their electric cooperative. Thank you for attending your electric cooperative's annual meeting, and thank you all for your support of MiEnergy Cooperative. At this time, I would ask if there's any questions of the membership. Sure. I think Brad has a mic here that he'll come around for you so we can all hear.
How does the rebates for the air source heat pumps compare to what the rebates are for the water heaters? You know, as a percentage.
Yeah. I would say this year, the air source heat pumps had the highest rebate of anything that we had. And there's a guy right over there behind that solar picture that can give you all the really good details. That's Kent Whitcomb. He's our member service and marketing manager. There's a really big growth in heat pumps, and our water heater program has been consistent for decades, but it's the heat pumps that we've really seen the increase in. So thank you. You bet. Other questions? Yes. Gonna make you work, Brad.
Alrighty, questions for you. One, the increase in assets and liabilities. Can you dive into a little bit as to what drove the increase in assets and liabilities for that in the expense report, in the reports? And number two, my broadband. The whole broadband market, as we know, in the last 5-6 years, become a lot more competitive. Every cell phone company has broadband service. You know, Elon Musk and his Starlink has brought to wherever, you know, many parts of the countryside, and can also be from a travel standpoint. So in the financials, we see all the stuff from a electric standpoint. We don't see that. I can talk.
Okay, I think I got your.
We don't see the financial or other business other than the electric.
Okay. Thank you, and I'll kind of repeat those. The first thing that we have with the increase in assets, a good share of that is our inventory. Our inventory is at, I would say, an all-time high. It's close to $10 million, and that is really because of a lot of the delays that we've had in trying to attain equipment and to get it in through the pandemic. So that was the quick takeaway, but I wanted to get you the right answer. So Shelley Hove is our CFO, and I want to see if she has anything else to add that would tie to the increase in the assets. So I appreciate it, and then I'll answer the broadband question.
Also, a significant increase in our assets is what we invest in our electric infrastructure every year. We have 5,500 miles of line, so we do have to keep upgrading that little by little every year to keep our lines reliable for you. So our construction work plan, we spend between 10 and 12 million dollars a year on our electric distribution system. And a lot of the liability increase is long-term debt because we do borrow money. We can borrow it cheaper than you guys can. So to keep our rates low, we borrow money and then we balance our equity. So
Okay.
that
Thank you.
answers that.
And on the broadband question, the big thing that we're looking at is we're providing service for broadband to areas where there isn't service. And that's where we're able to get the grants. Anywhere from, this one that we're applying for right now is a 70% grant. And some of the other ones that we've got have been 50 or 40%, but they're areas that in order to apply for them, you more or less have to document, and you're using the FCC data that shows that there are no other providers in that area. And a lot of people that you mentioned is there's the satellite, Elon Musk. Well, the big thing is that satellite does have to have some place to upload that information. So if you live in Montana or a very, very remote area, it can provide that type of service. But as more and more people would move to that, it would also slow it down just because of the capacity that it's able to get. You also hear some of the cellular companies that offer packages to do that. They generally have a fiber line connected to my broadband that has a connection at their tower that in turn can help increase that or drive that up. So we're right now on a very aggressive building phase to build that up. Each and every project that we have goes before our My Broadband Board, which is a partnership of Spring Grove Communications, Mabel Cooperative Telephone, and MiEnergy. And generally, when we look at this, we're looking at a payback on that infrastructure from 8 to 12 years to build that out. But key point here is that I mentioned the electric industry is really in a transformation period. We really need the information and that connection to be able to operate the next level of electric system. So it's a win-win because we'd be building this fiber out on our own to connect all of our substations to backhaul this information, or if we have to roll substations and make changes, we need that broadband connection. So we're doing that, but we're also doing it with state and federal grants, and we're also delivering internet and broadband to a lot of members that really appreciate it. So 2 excellent questions. So thank you very much. And we'll certainly be available on the side if you want to talk a little bit more and we can get into some more detail. So thank you. Others? Yes. Harvey from Harmony.
I might get a bill from MiEnergy every month, but it's not entered in my ledger that way. It's always entered as my REA bill. And I was about 7 years old when electricity first came. So I remember that and going around, and I suppose every light bulb was about 40 watts. And I believe the bill was $4 a month. But ever since then, it's been my REA, and I voted Democrat because of electricity. Thank you.
Thank you, Harvey. And there's a lot of us that still call it the REA. I'm a little biased, but I think it's probably been one of the most successful government programs of all time and electrifying the countryside. So thank you. Other questions? Otherwise, I see kolaches are getting handed out there. So, yeah.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. Last year I was watching TV and the lights went out, and I thought, well, the guys will be out right away, because in the 59 years I've lived on my place, I think I've only been out of electricity, I can count it on one hand. So it was late, so I went to bed and got up in the morning. I still didn't have electricity. So I called all my neighbors. They all had electricity. So I called the co-op, and I'll bet the guys were there in 20 minutes. And they found a dead raccoon at the bottom of my pole. And they put a thing on it so they can't climb up there anymore.
Okay.
So it's great, the electricity that we get.
Well, thank you for sharing that comment too. As I mentioned, we have some tremendous employees, and it's actually kind of fun to listen to those guys when they talk about some of the outages. I think in our next newsletter column, we have one where the guys showed up about 6:30 in the morning, and they found that a beaver had chewed down a little pole or a little tree, and that's what caused the outage. It was a beaver, so all kinds of things. So, have another question?
Brian, I just wanted to know how that wind farm north of New Hampton is will there be any changes with MiEnergy, or how will you handle it?
Well, the nice thing is it's kind of right in Director Reich's backyard, and he's been able to give us pretty regular updates on that. We had a few members in the area that had planned outages. The main thing there is that in some cases we had to drop the distribution line in order for them to move some of the cranes around. So that has impacted some of our members, and I appreciate their understanding in that, and we've tried to coordinate that with them. The big thing is we're not receiving any of that power. I mean, it's going to the grid, but that's not part of the Dairyland system, nor is it then in tune part of MiEnergy. So I think it's good, and that is a good thing, having those wind resources. You know, we very much support renewable energy. The big thing that I'm concerned about, and I know our board is reliability. And we just need to continue to move forward to get to that carbon free, but we still need to not forget about reliability, and that's our concern that we're at right now, Dean. So, all right, you can give me the update later about the coffee shop, all right? Okay. Yep. Have a question over here, Brad.
So is MiEnergy big enough to be able to handle like a modular nuclear so that we aren't in that red area and don't have to worry that all of our, Mississippi Valley is going to drop out under a peak energy alert?
The big thing that, and I want to clarify this for everybody here, that we are a distribution co-op, meaning we rely on our power supply partners at Dairyland Power to generate and transmit the power. And Dairyland's looking at all options available. I think a number of years ago, we've had a member that brought up that, is there any way that we can take advantage of maybe some hydro technology on the lock and dams on the Mississippi? Is there any way to pump water up and use it for storage and then release it during the day on off peaks? Is there an opportunity to look at small modular nuclear that isn't like the 3 Mile Island and in those type of applications? Dairyland is investigating and looking at all of those technologies. I think it's safe to say that they don't want to be the very first one to do it, but they also need to be engaged. And there may be opportunities with the federal government if they're looking at incentives and opportunities. Maybe there's a partnership opportunity to be able to do that. So we're going to do what we can. I think the big thing is communicate when you have your elected officials in your area that you're concerned on reliability. And you're very welcome to say that you're a MiEnergy member and you're concerned about reliability. I think we support renewables hands down. In battery technology, it's going to come. I don't think the batteries are going to be at the substation level. There may be some opportunities with the battery that you drive if you have an electric vehicle, meaning there may be an opportunity to plug in your electric vehicle to be an emergency backup. I think that maybe has a little more opportunity, because if you're going to spend $70,000 or $80,000, at least with a car, you can drive it rather than have it sitting in your garage. So those are the things that we're looking at, but we have an excellent power supply partner in Dairyland Power, and they are looking at all of the options to find out what do we need to do to be more efficient and maintain that reliability. So excellent question. And I'm not a nuclear scientist or anything that way. So we can visit a little bit more maybe with Director Sharmer afterwards about some of the things Darylyn is looking at, so. Okay, all right. Others? All right, well, you wore Brad out running around here, so I again just want to thank you all. It's a pleasure to be a part of this great organization, and the highlight of the meeting is yet to come, and that's the kolaches at the back of the room. So I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Brian. I'd just like to say Brian does a great job for us, and we really appreciate him. There was no old business or unfinished business from the last meeting. Is there any new business to be brought up? I don't see anybody with new business. If there's no further business, I hereby declare this annual meeting of MiEnergy Cooperative adjourned. And I too would like to thank everyone very much for attending and being part of your electric cooperative annual meeting. It's good to see a nice crowd here, that's for sure. So we will now conduct our door prize drawing. For those watching online, please see the screen for instructions on how to enter for the prize. Thank you very much.